Another race hoax takes center stage, this time in the WNBA. This story has had many twists and turns over the past week, so we're going to walk you through how it all unraveled in spectacular fashion.
Did you watch the most recent WNBA drama? After Angel Reese said she was subjected to racist taunts during a match against Caitlin Clark, the league launched a thorough inquiry. The WNBA even issued a statement saying that racism has no place in their sport, leading everyone to believe that something terrible had occurred. However, after 10 days of investigation, the league found no proof of racism at all. What, then, was the true cause of this enormous controversy? How did one social media post become newsworthy? Let's start from the beginning and dissect it.
Caitlin Clark's team, the Indiana Fever, faced off against the Chicago Sky, home to player Angel Reese.
The Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky WNBA season opener was billed as a battle of extreme skill and ferocity. Angel Reese, one of the league's most audacious rising stars, was scheduled to take on rookie wonder Caitlin Clark, the talk of the town. Fans were prepared for some intense heat because both players are notorious for their combative demeanor and ferocious trash talk. When Reese attempted a rebound in the first half and Clark hit her leading hand, sending her down, tensions erupted. The referees made no hesitation. They called a flagrant foul right away. See the performance for yourself.
Against Reese, in other words, Caitlin committed the foul. After slapping her arm, Reese fell to the ground momentarily before jumping up to follow Clark across the court, angry at the foul.
For a moment, the arena held its breath. However, both celebrities dismissed the incident after the game, with Clark characterizing it as merely a part of the game and reconcurring that's what competition is all about.
I need to make these two free throws. That's all I'm thinking about. Just part of basketball. It is what it is. Just trying to make a play on the ball and get the block. But yeah, I mean, it happens. And those free throws, when you have to shoot them with nobody at the line, are kind of hard. So a little different than having people at the line. So I was just trying to focus on making those.
Following the news conference, everything changed when the Associated News reported that the WNBA had opened an investigation into allegations of racist abuse directed against Reese by Fever supporters during the game. A swift statement denouncing racism and all types of hate and bigotry was released by the league. What started off as an ordinary game had unexpectedly turned into the subject of a significant league-wide investigation.
The WNBA strongly condemns racism, hate, and discrimination in all forms. They have no place in our league or in our society. We are aware of the allegations and are looking into the matter. Then, Reese had a change of heart. She posted a TikTok video, which included this screenshot. It shows Clark walking away from Reese after the foul with the message, "White gal running from the fade." It has since been taken down.
This was crazy. After the foul, Reese posted a TikTok video of Clark leaving, captioning it, "White gal running from the fade." The video went viral right away. While some viewers thought it was needless drama, others thought Reese was simply being honest. But really, why make such a post when the player supporters are already the subject of a racist investigation? The video was eventually removed, but not before it had gone viral on social media, and trust me, things were only going to get worse.
Then spoke to reporters about how the alleged racism hurled her way was very hard to deal with during the game.
Have you noticed? Days after Reese told the media that she had heard racial comments from the supporters, she said,
There's no place in this league for that. I think the WNBA, our team, and our organization has done a great job supporting me. I've had communication from everyone, from so many people across this league, and being able to support me and going through this whole process. Obviously, it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone, and I think they've done a great job supporting us in this.
What do you think the league's response, just coming out right away and getting that investigation going?
Yeah, obviously, like I said, they understand that this is the priority. Obviously, there's no place for this, and they preach. I think 2 days before they put out no hate, no speech. And obviously the women in this league, they know that and know there's no space for that.
She thanked the WNBA and her team for supporting her, describing how exhausting it was to play under that type of pressure. However, even in this digital age, there is still no proof. No videos, no sound snippets, nothing at all.
Oh, now we're at, it was hard to hear when it happened. What happened exactly? You were subjected to racism? What specifically? What happened? It was hard to hear. If it can happen to me, it can happen. And did it happen to you? What What exactly is your evidence that anything at all happened to you involving racism from the Fever fan?
There was a great deal of misunderstanding as well. Reporters found that during the game, neither Angel Reese's coach nor her teammates had overheard any racist comments. Actually, a lot of people said that they were unaware of the accusations until the story appeared online. Anonymous social media assertions, rather than direct reports given to the team or league officials during the game, served as the impetus for the investigation.
Of any hate speech during the game. Angel Reese did not run off the court saying somebody said something racist to me. Now the latest news is that they heard anonymous social media commentators saying there was racism. Oh, that's how you began your investigation? So nobody in the arena was actually complaining? She wasn't complaining? You, the coaches, didn't hear anything? It's some anonymous social media users who got this started. That's reliable.
Angel Reese's position at the free throw line late in the fourth quarter was a major source of debate. Online watchers claimed it was a racist attack after claiming to have heard monkey noises emanating from the crowd. Scene snippets went viral very fast, and the background noises were definitely strange, a high-pitched scream that is followed by laughs.
In the basketball. Reese misses.
The WNBA concluded that the noises were indistinct and probably either normal crowd noises or a common noisemaker after closely examining the game's audio and video. Things you might anticipate hearing during a basketball game, there was no evidence of any racist intent.
I don't know what that is. To me, it sounds like a noisemaker, one of those weird noisemakers that you might use on New Year's Eve, which is very common during these free throw shots to distract the opposing team's player. But it certainly doesn't jump out at me as a monkey sound, and it probably doesn't jump out at you that way either. It's people who are looking for these alleged claims. And by the way, who in a crowded arena would actually do such a thing?
The league spent 10 days investigating the allegations, but the dispute only intensified. While some firmly supported Angel Reese, others emphasized that there was no hard proof. The events in the audience totally overshadowed what should have been about basketball. One social media post and a flurry of rumors were all that was required to start a thorough inquiry and take center stage in the news.
The people who think that there are racists and racism everywhere in America, those are the ones who go to that place. But without any supporting evidence, nothing more than a statement put out by the WNBA about unspecified racism, and now we know that's based on social media users, some sports analysts had no problem declaring, oh, it happened. There's racism at these WNBA games.
However, the fire wasn't only stoked by the supporters. Sports analysts and the media hurried to the scene, transforming it into a full-fledged spectacle. The narrative changed as soon as Reese's article began to gather traction, with numerous commenters portraying it as an obvious instance of prejudice. One of the first and most outspoken people to voice their opinions was ESPN's Monica McNutt, who said,
The fact that the WNBA has to put out a statement because of racist comments and unsafe conditions toward Angel Reese, I just want people to be mindful. If this was the other way around, oh Lord, you can only imagine how the conversation would have gone.
When it comes to racism and the hateful rhetoric and the statement that the WNBA is saying, I think it's important because at the end of the day, if you are truly a basketball fan, you would understand and agree. We have no space in our game for those types of
It was more than just news coverage. Before any actual facts were disclosed, it was forming the complete story and instructing viewers on how to understand the circumstances. Chini Uemik from ESPN and Emmanuel Aiko from Fox Sports immediately got on board, reiterating the same plot and pretending that the accusations had already been verified.
Are using this situation as a cover for their innate vitriol and maybe their innate kind of racism or racial tension or racial misunderstanding. And now that they have been given a reason, at least the reason that they're going to try to take, which is Angel Reese reacting to Caitlin Clark's foul, now this is their opportunity to say what they always wanted to say, but they needed a mask put on to cover up the innate, whether it's racism or the innate prejudice or just the innate hate that they have for Angel Reese and the ways in which she carries herself.
Everyone seemed to be convinced that this was an obvious case of racism, and the mood was electrifying. However, at that time, there was nothing but a few inflammatory social media messages and a deleted TikTok. There was an enormous surge of belief that swiftly swept through the sports community and took over the headlines without anyone pausing to think.
Okay. You heard the one commentator say those types of comments. What comments were they, sir? What specifically? Walk us through them. He has no idea. And Acho, alluding to fans being comfortable spewing racism while wearing masks. What was the racism that was spewed? What masks? What? Again, what evidence are you citing? Walk us through it. You're a journalist, right? You purport to be a sports journalist, commentator. Walk us through it. Totally open-minded. Let's do it.
The league meticulously examined every aspect of the broadcast and interviewed spectators and arena staff over the course of 10 days. After everything was said and done, their formal conclusions said,
based on information gathered to date, including from relevant fans, teams, and arena staff, as well as audio and video review of the game, we have not substantiated it.
The allegations of racist abuse lacked substantial evidence. However, the disagreement persisted. While some supporters defended Ree, arguing that her experience warranted respect, others cited the lack of evidence as justification for ending the matter.
That's it? You got everybody worked up over absolutely nothing. You have not substantiated any allegations of race.
The way this story totally took over the WNBA debate was what actually made it go viral. Everyone was preoccupied with arguing about what might or might not have transpired in the crowd rather than the actual game. A complete investigation was sparked by a single social media post and a deluge of internet speculations, which kept the news headlines spinning for days.
Maybe we shouldn't run with anonymous social media users' allegations. Perhaps social media is not the most reliable source for massive racism investigations without anybody who was actually there having heard, seen, or witnessed it. And maybe you should fill in the lines a bit more when you announce that your big race hoax was exactly.
This is where things took a surprising turn. Following the WNBA's investigation, which found no proof of racist abuse or comments, Chiney Amiki issued an apology. She clarified that she spoke from a position of genuine concern and in the heat of the moment. She continued by stating, "I'm dedicated to improving how I express my views and growing alongside the sport that I deeply love and respect. Look into this."
Me, you know I'm not afraid to say I can do better. I am sorry that my message was in the heat of the moment because when I initially spoke on the topic, it really came from a place of care. It was based on firsthand conversations with people very close to the situation who raised real concerns, and they told me what they had experienced. And I felt like it was important and it was necessary to acknowledge those allegations and also voice those experiences. Now, in the process, however, I totally recognize that it may have impacted fans in a way that I did not intend, and I am sorry.
At first glance, it appeared to be a move in the direction of accountability. She said she wanted to improve and acknowledged her emotional reaction. Megyn Kelly, however, wasn't persuaded. Kelly noted that Amiki's discreet social media apology didn't have the same impact or weight as her original assertions. She called for a sincere public apology in the same location where those charges initially surfaced. For the fans who heard the initial narrative, Kelly highlighted the distinction between merely declaring, "I'll do better," and truly correcting the record.
Ridiculous. Don't worry, there's never any penalty for fake racism reports. None. She knows very well she can proceed with impunity on such reporting.
Remember that unsubstantiated allegations were the initial cause of this entire mess. At the game, neither coaches nor players reported overhearing any racial comments. Even Angel Reese's own coaches and teammates claimed not to have noticed anything out of the ordinary. So, what evidence was being cited? In the end, it's just hearsay and responses on social media. And hard proof to back up the assertions, Kelly said that the story was motivated more by emotions than by facts.
By the way, she did not address her own false reporting. Let me tell you how it's done. When you say something that is totally false on the air, you have to go out, and by the way, it needs to happen in the same forum in which you committed the sin. Not on social media, which is the coward's way out. You go and you look into the same camera into which you made the first allegation, and you say, "Here is what I said." And that was wrong. And this is how I know it was wrong.
Kelly was irritated by more than simply the media's response this time. It brought attention to a much larger problem. She criticized the media for its unfair treatment of people based on their color. Kelly contended that the coverage would have been entirely different if Angel Reese had not been the one making the claims, but rather a white player. She cited the case of Brittany Gurrier, who was charged with making a racist remark toward Caitlin Clark following a game, as an obvious illustration of this contradiction.